Hey everyone! Today we're exploring another chilling and disturbing case. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay engaged. It really means a lot. I truly appreciate it. Now, take a deep breath and let's dive in. She begged him not to hurt her. She reminded him of their wedding vows, their baby names, the dreams they once shared. But none of it mattered. That night, he buried her like a secret. For 10 years, he built a new life, until the woman he tried to erase came back from the grave, and this time, she wasn't a victim. Leila Monroe, 29, was known for her kindness and quiet strength, a third-grade teacher in the quiet town of Marlow Creek. She had been married to Officer Daniel Whittaker for 6 years. Friends described them as a perfect couple. But Leila's diary told a different story, one filled with isolation, control, and emotional abuse. She tried to leave him twice. Both times, Daniel manipulated her back, threatened her, gaslit her, and in May 2015, she finally made a secret plan to disappear, for good. But Daniel was always one step ahead. Daniel Whittaker wasn't just a husband. He was a master manipulator. As a police officer, he knew how to erase evidence, control narratives, and most of all, how to play the grieving victim. What no one knew was that Daniel had taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on Leila just 8 months before she disappeared. The night Leila vanished, Daniel claimed she left after a fight. No note, no trace. Just gone. He filed a missing persons report. He cried on the evening news. He even organized a town-wide search. Behind the scenes, he was already seeing another woman and spending money like he'd won the lottery. 3 months later, the insurance paid out. He married his mistress, moved into a new home, and started a new family. To the world, he was a widower who had moved on. To Leila, he was a killer who would never rest easy. On May 14, 2015, after a heated argument, Daniel attacked Leila in their home. He strangled her until she passed out. Thinking she was dead, he wrapped her in a tarp and buried her in a secluded wooded area he used to patrol. But Daniel made a fatal mistake. Leila wasn't dead. She woke up buried alive, with shredded fingernails and broken fingers. She clawed her way out of the shallow grave, bleeding, shaking, and half-conscious. She stumbled onto a back road and collapsed at the feet of a truck driver, who rushed her to a hospital in another county. There, still terrified Daniel might find her, she gave a fake name and disappeared. For 10 years, Leila lived in the shadows, working under aliases, sleeping in shelters. She knew Daniel thought she was dead, and she wanted it that way, until one day, while scrolling through a community forum, she saw something that made her freeze. Daniel's smiling face, holding a child, married, happy, rich. Her blood ran cold. He didn't just move on. He replaced her. That night, something in Leila snapped. She wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't hiding. She was coming back. On May 14th, 2025, exactly 10 years to the day, Daniel celebrated his birthday with friends and family. It was raining. His son had just gone to bed. Julia, his wife, was in the kitchen cleaning up. Then came the knock. Daniel opened the door, and standing in the pouring rain was the woman he murdered, alive and staring right at him. He staggered back, trembling. You're supposed to be dead. Leila didn't flinch. She stepped inside and whispered, "Not yet, but you're about to be." Daniel stood frozen in the doorway, his face drained of color. He wasn't looking at a ghost. He was looking at the one person who could destroy everything. Leila stepped into the house, soaking wet, eyes locked on his. "I didn't come to talk," she said. "I came to watch you squirm." Julia, Daniel's new wife, heard voices and walked in. "Who's this?" she asked. Before Daniel could answer, Leila said, "Ask him. I'm the first wife, the one he buried." Julia laughed, thinking it was a sick joke, until Leila handed her a sealed envelope. Inside, a hospital report from 10 years ago under the alias Jane Doe. A handwritten letter describing the burial site, photos of bruises, hospital intake forms, and Daniel's affair timeline. A hidden recording of Daniel threatening to kill her if she ever left. Daniel lunged for the envelope, but Julia backed away, shaking. And Leila? She smiled. Leila didn't go to the police. Yet, she went to Daniel's boss. Then to a local investigative journalist. Then to the life insurance company, which immediately froze all accounts tied to the claim. Within 24 hours, a media frenzy began. Murdered wife returns after 10 years. Husband now under investigation. Ex-cop faces questions after dead. Wife comes back from grave. Daniel was placed on leave. His home was surrounded by reporters. His reputation shattered. But Leila wasn't finished. She led a private investigator to the burial site. The ground still bore traces of grave, torn tarp fibers, decomposed rope fragments, and dirt that didn't match the natural pattern. Forensics began testing. Daniel's world was unraveling, and in the chaos, something darker began to show in him. Daniel played his last card, manipulation. He filed a counter report, claiming Leila Whittaker owned death to frame him, collect sympathy, and ruin his life after he moved on. He claimed she was mentally unstable. He even presented doctored emails suggesting she threatened to make him pay. Julia, confused and shaken, didn't know who to believe, but Leila was ready. She submitted a secret journal, dozens of entries from months leading to the attack, detailing the abuse, threats, and Daniel's disturbing fantasies of a life without her. And she had something else. The original wedding ring, dug from the dirt where he tried to bury her memory. As the case gained national attention, Leila agreed to go on camera, her face blurred, voice disguised, for a televised interview. Millions watched as she described waking up underground, gasping for air, the cold, the fear, the moment she realized her husband wanted her dead. Survivors came forward. Other women who had dated Daniel briefly and left due to creepy or controlling behavior. Even a former trainee at the police department said Daniel once joked, "If you want a clean break, bury the past deep enough." The public turned. Julia moved out. Daniel spiraled. One night, Leila received a text. "You should have stayed buried." Unknown number. She didn't flinch. Instead, she checked the small camera she had secretly installed in Daniel's car days earlier. And what she saw on that footage would finally make her choose justice or vengeance. The night Leila received a message, "You should have stayed buried," she knew exactly where to look. She opened her secure drive and pulled up the footage from Daniel's car dash cam, hidden beneath the steering column. At 2:03 a.m., the camera caught Daniel driving to an old, isolated fishing dock, one of the few places he hadn't been seen publicly since the media frenzy began. But he wasn't alone. In the passenger seat sat a man in plain clothes, unknown, bald, mid-40s, with a tattoo on his neck. The audio was faint, but the camera picked up one sentence clearly. "If she talks, I need this handled." Just like before. Leila's stomach dropped. Just like before, she rewound it, played it again, and again. Daniel hadn't just tried to kill her once. He may have done it before. Leila contacted her private investigator and gave him a mission. Find out who that man is. 2 days later, the answer came back. Edward Eddie Sloan, former correctional officer, dishonorably discharged, known associate of Daniels from his early days on the force, and, most chillingly, connected to a cold case from 2012. Case Mia Holloway missing, presumed dead, last seen leaving a domestic violence shelter. Guess who was a responding officer to her final call? Daniel Whittaker. Leila couldn't believe it until she looked up Mia's photo. Same bruises, same pattern, same terrified smile. Leila realized she may not have been Daniel's first attempt. Leila took the footage, the name, and the cold case file to Detective Alicia Grant, one of the only officers who hadn't bought into Daniel's grieving husband act all those years ago. Alicia listened, watched the footage, and said 4 words Leila had waited a decade to hear. "Let's take him down." Alicia reopened both Leila's original case and Mia Holloway's disappearance. Search warrants were filed. Daniel's old patrol logs re-examined. GPS data. Burner phones. A long trail of unspoken truths. Meanwhile, Daniel was unraveling, paranoid, angry, and suddenly disappearing for hours at a time. Julia, his current wife, filed for divorce. And Daniel, he started watching Leila again, from his car, across the street from her motel. Leila knew she had to be smart. She started playing him, leaving hints that she was letting go, acting scared, backing off. But in truth, she was setting a trap. With Alicia's help, Leila wired her motel room with hidden cameras and left a note where she knew Daniel would see it. I'm ready to talk. One last time. You know where. The bait was set. That night, Daniel parked outside her motel, staring at the door. He waited, and then he got out. He walked slowly to the room, gloved hands. No phone, no backup, just rage. Daniel opened the door. Leila stood by the window. She turned to face him and whispered, I left the grave open. Want to see where you're going next. The motel room was dimly lit. A cheap lamp buzzed in the corner. Leila stood still, heart pounding, camera running, microphone hidden beneath her shirt. The walls were wired. Officers sat just a block away, listening to every word through transmitter. Daniel stepped inside, closing the door behind him. He smiled, but it wasn't warmth. It was calculation. You've had your fun, he said coldly. Now it's over. Leila didn't flinch. I left the grave open for you, she whispered. Want to see where you're going next? Daniel moved closer. Nobody's going to believe you, Leila. You're damaged. You disappeared for 10 years. That's not a victim. That's a woman with something to hide. Leila leaned in. You're right. I am hiding something. She nodded to the small vent in the ceiling. Daniel looked up and froze. A blinking red light. In seconds, the motel door burst open. 2 plainclothes officers stormed in, hand where we can see them. Daniel was tackled, cuffed, and searched. As they dragged him out of the room, he screamed. She's lying. This is all fake. She's not normal. Leila stood silently, watching him collapse under the weight of his own fear. Back at the station, Daniel was booked on suspicion of attempted murder, insurance fraud, obstruction of justice, and, pending confirmation, possible involvement in the Mia Holloway disappearance. The footage of him hiring a known criminal to handle it again was leaked to the press. His world was burning, but Leila still didn't feel safe. Detective Alicia Grant took Leila to a quiet conference room and laid out 2 photos. Mia Holloway, missing since 2012. A sketch of property once owned by Eddie Sloan, Daniel's old associate. Forensics were headed there now, guided by a timeline Leila had helped reconstruct. And if Mia's body was found, Daniel wouldn't just go down for attempted murder. He'd be branded a serial predator. But then something strange happened. Leila's prepaid phone buzzed. Unknown number. One new voicemail. She played it on speaker. It was short, distorted, but chilling. You open a grave. Now another will be filled. It wasn't Daniel's voice. And it wasn't Eddie's. That night, Leila checked into a police-safe location, but sleep was impossible. Her thoughts spiraled. If Daniel was in custody, who sent the message? Could someone else be involved? Another cop? Another woman? Leila remembered something from her past. Something she had buried. A name. Veronica. Daniel's ex. The one no one ever talked about. The one who moved away after filing harassment complaints. Leila dug up an old yearbook. She found Veronica's photo, and next to it, a red stamped transfer notice to a psych facility. She tracked the facility down. Veronica had checked out, under a new name, 1 week ago. Leila stared at the discharge form. The alias, Vanessa Sloan, Eddie's sister. Suddenly, it all made sense. Daniel's circle was bigger and darker than she imagined. And now, someone was coming for her. Leila stared at the discharge form again. Name, Vanessa Sloan. Real name, Veronica Evans, Daniel's ex-girlfriend. Relationship, sister of Eddie Sloan, Daniel's longtime enforcer. Discharged from Serenity Pines Mental Health Center. Date, 7 days ago. Status, stable. Not a risk to self or others. But something didn't sit right. Veronica, now Vanessa, had been quiet for years. Her harassment reports against Daniel were sealed. Her testimony in 2013 was withdrawn abruptly. Why? Leila pulled her records. The answer sent chills down her spine. Vanessa had accused Daniel of staging an overdose attempt, locking her in a basement for 2 days, then threatening to destroy her if she spoke out. But no charges were ever filed. Instead, she disappeared, committed under family care. Until now, Detective Alicia Grant began cross-referencing phone records, burner numbers, and bank transactions. A disturbing pattern emerged. Vanessa Sloan had recently transferred $9,000 to Eddie Sloan. And that burner phone voicemail? It pinged from a tower near the Serenity Pines facility. On the day Vanessa was released, Vanessa wasn't running. She was coming back, and she had something to prove. Leila was relocated again, this time under full police protection. But she couldn't stop the nightmares. Daniel's voice, the grave, the feeling of dirt pressing against her chest. One night, her hotel room phone rang. No caller ID. She picked up, heart racing. "You lived through him, but you won't survive me." Then the line went dead. Security footage later showed a woman in a hoodie lingering in the hotel lobby minutes before the call. She never approached the front desk. She never looked at the camera. But Leila recognized the profile. Vanessa, with pressure mounting, Leila made a bold move. She went public. She appeared on a live-streamed interview. No blur, no filter. For the first time, she showed her face and told the world, "My name is Leila Monroe. I survived a murder attempt by my husband, Daniel Whittaker. And I know I'm not the only one." Within 48 hours, 2 more women came forward. One from Daniel's past precinct, a former dispatcher who claimed Daniel stalked her. Another, a woman from a domestic abuse shelter, who said she ran after a cop named Danny started asking for a file. A pattern of predation, a web of silence, and at the center of it all, Daniel, and now Vanessa. Just as Leila began to piece it all together, Detective Alicia called. "We found something," she said. "In the woods behind Eddie Sloan's cabin, a shallow grave. Small, fresh, not even a week old." Leila froze. She whispered, "Is it Vanessa's?" Alicia replied, "No, it's someone else. And we think they were looking for you." Police recovered the body from a shallow grave just behind Eddie Sloan's remote cabin, wrapped in plastic, hands bound, mouth gagged. No ID, no phone, but the most haunting detail, clutched in the victim's hand, was a photo of Leila. The back was scribbled with 5 words. "You were never the target." The victim was a woman in her early 30s. Brown hair, similar build to Leila. Forensics revealed she had been killed just 48 hours before discovery. Strangled, just like Leila had been 10 years ago. Detectives feared the worst. This wasn't just a message. It was a rehearsal. Leila was shaken but determined. She demanded answers. If I wasn't the target, then who is? Detective Alicia dug into the victim's identity. After fingerprint analysis, a name came back. Danielle Rivera, a woman who once filed a restraining order against Daniel Whittaker's cousin. The deeper they looked, the more connections emerged. Danielle had stayed in the same domestic shelter as Mia Holloway. She filed multiple harassment reports, all dismissed. Her final report listed a man named E. Sloan, seen following her. Suddenly, it became clear. Leila wasn't dealing with just Daniel. She was unraveling a network of abusers and enablers. And Vanessa Sloan? She wasn't hiding anymore. At 3:12 a.m., police surveillance footage caught a shocking image outside the courthouse. Vanessa Sloan, pale, disguised in a hoodie. She had come to see Daniel. They couldn't hear the conversation, but her final gesture was unmistakable. She raised her hand and made a throat-slashing motion toward the window where Daniel sat in holding. Then she vanished. Leila, reviewing the footage, recognized a twitch in Vanessa's hands, the fear in her eyes. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. The next day, Leila received a package. No return address. No fingerprints. Inside, a burner phone already powered on. It contained one video file. Leila pressed play. It showed Danielle Rivera, days before her murder, visibly terrified, sitting in a dark room. She whispered, "If you're watching this, I'm probably already gone." He said I reminded him of her. He kept calling me Leila, but I'm not. I told him that. He didn't care. The screen cut to black, and a single text appeared. Tag, you're at... Leila stared at the screen, trembling, not with fear, but fury. She turned to Detective Alicia and said, "We've been chasing Daniel, but he's not the one pulling the strings anymore." Alicia nodded grimly, because the evidence now pointed to a horrifying truth. The real monster may still be out there, watching, waiting, and getting closer. Detective Alicia and Leila pieced the puzzle together. The evidence revealed a loose network of law enforcement insiders, predators, and enablers, all connected by Daniel Eddie Sloan, and a handful of men tied to old abuse reports, dismissed cases, and missing women. This wasn't a one-off. It was a pattern, a hidden circle that passed victims between each other, women who disappeared under mysterious circumstances, reports that went missing, and one by one, the names matched real cases from across the state. At the center, Vanessa Sloan, not a monster, a survivor, a woman Daniel silenced for years, until she snapped. She wasn't trying to help Daniel escape. She was trying to destroy what he built from the inside. Vanessa contacted Leila through an encrypted message. "One more, then it ends. Come alone." She attached a GPS location, an old, abandoned farmhouse in the outskirts of Marlow Creek, where it all began. Against police advice, Leila insisted on going. "He took my voice for 10 years. I'm ending this in mine." Wire with a mic back up nearby. But Leila went alone. Inside the farmhouse was darkness, dusk, silence, until she heard it. A man's voice, but it wasn't Daniel's. From the shadows stepped Eddie Sloan. "You always thought it was Daniel," he said calmly, "but he was just a dog on a leash." Leila's blood ran cold. Eddie confessed, not out of guilt, but pride. He orchestrated everything. The insurance fraud, the intimidation, the graves. Daniel was his puppet. Vanessa was his experiment. And Leila? His biggest mistake. She was supposed to break, he said, not bite back. He raised a gun. But before he could speak again, a shot rang out. Vanessa, from behind the door. Eddie collapsed to the floor, bleeding out. Vanessa stood over him, shaking. Leila grabbed her hand. "You're safe now," she whispered. Police swarmed the house moments later. The sting operation had succeeded. They arrested 2 more men that night, one a retired deputy, the other a former judge. Daniel, from the cell, refused to speak, but Vanessa did. She gave a full statement. Names, locations, details no one else knew. And Leila? She became a national figure, the woman who came back from the dead and burned down the system that tried to bury her. Leila never got her old life back, but she built a new one, stronger, louder, unbreakable. She now runs a nonprofit for survivors of abuse, working with women who, like her, were told to stay quiet. Vanessa entered long-term therapy, finally away from the men who stole her voice. Daniel Whittaker was convicted on multiple counts: attempted murder, insurance fraud, conspiracy, and accessory to multiple homicides. He received life without parole. Eddie Sloan was pronounced dead on arrival. But as for the rest, some say others in the network are still out there, still watching, still waiting. What are your thoughts on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with more stories, where each case isn't just about crime, but also offers a lesson for life.